Murphy with the weekly radio magazine about the arts and community living, our local economy, and the environment in eastern Connecticut, in Tolland, Windham, and New London counties. I'm live with my co-producer Matt Rupar here on WILI AM 1400 and 95.3 Digital FM on Wednesdays at 5:05, right after the news. And this is our second program in a new series called On the Homefront, from a new regional media network which is on live radio and video recorded for the WILI YouTube channel, Spectrum Public Access TV, and rebroadcast on WECS-FM at Eastern. The series is an expanded resource for community communications. Our program today is very busy. We have 4 segments. We're going to open in a few seconds with David Foster, sharing the story of his incredibly wonderful music series program at Eastern to raise funds for music education. And we're also going to hear from the Windham Community Food Network and especially the Willimantic Food Co-op about the Willimantic Downtown Country Fair this Saturday, October 1st. Chris McDebow from the Carrie Gallery is here. She'll be talking about a gallery opening with artist Carrie Cork this Friday the 30th from 5 to 7 p.m. And we'll also have Ruth Hartooni and Allenbaugh from the WILI Air Staff. She'll be talking about her new show, which just started. It's called Ravings and Cravings, and she'll be airing here on Mondays at 5 p.m. So let's get right into it now. David Foster, thank you for sharing the phones with us, and I thank you for all the good work you do for the community all year long.
Well, John, it's so nice to be with you again. It's been a while, and I always enjoy being with you. You've been a dear friend for many years. Yeah.
The feeling is mutual indeed. And the reason why we have David here today is he has another series of concerts at Eastern in their wonderful new Fine Arts Center to raise funds for local music education. There's a concert that's been rescheduled for the spring with an incredible gospel group called Take 6. But the reason why David's here today especially is he's going to bring back Arturo Sandoval with the Shabu All-Stars in October. So David, why don't you take a second and give people a preview of this incredible evening?
Well, I'm really proud to just get a chance to share the stage, with somebody as brilliant as Arturo and his incredible band. And, we're going to open for them, and I just can't wait to hear him, to see him, and, just to sing in that unbelievable new theater, which is it's like the Carnegie Hall of Connecticut. It's a $400 million, 400-seat theater. It's like acoustically perfect. And, John, last time I sang there, I didn't even use the microphone with the band. Didn't use the microphone. So that's, yeah. That's how you could be at the last row of the balcony, and it sounds just as good as if you were in the third row on the main floor. So,
I know.
It's wonderful, yeah.
It's the acoustics, and parts of the wall move in and out like baffles. So depending on horns or strings or percussion, you can modify the walls, and that helps with what you're talking about.
Yes, exactly. It has all those features, and, there isn't anything it doesn't have. Risers, they don't have one Steinway, brand new Steinway. They have 2. So, it's just like, wow, what a unbelievable facility. And, the thing that's so nice is I've got a partner in the folks over at Eastern where they put up half the funding and I put the other half up, so they don't feel like I have to do it all by myself. Because,
sure.
It gets expensive when you just one person is doing the whole thing. But the thing that's great is like every person that buys a ticket, to any one of the events, to that event, either for the 3 o'clock in the afternoon show or the 8 o'clock show, every penny will go to scholarship, So that's what's so nice about it. You're not 80%, not 70%, 100%. So, it's just, wow, that's pretty neat, Yeah.
It is, David. And, the beautiful thing is you're spreading it around and you're doing music shows, but you're doing other things for the soup kitchen, for all the centers and community services in our area that are really struggling right now in our economy. You're picking up a lot of slack and spreading it around. So this is just one more manifestation. But apart from the event, maybe you could share a few minutes about how music affected you as a young guy and how it gave you a path, and how you're trying to do the same in other ways for kids today who are young, where music might be a life-altering experience for them.
It started with me at 4 years old, my mother and father, John, as you well know, were professional singers. So all my brothers and my sister and I were blessed with a voice. So the four of us used to harmonize, and my brother Michael and I were the babies, so we were four, and my brother Mark was 8, and my sister Suzanne was 6, and we'd do 4-part harmonies, and and my parents would say, no, look, you got to make sure if you're going to perform, you got to go upstairs and put a jacket and tie on and look presentable because it's a very special place. They were like, I mean, from a very young age, they were instilling how to do it to the best of our ability. And for me, it just became, wow, this is wonderful. I want to keep doing this, and that's really how it started. And and then grew and grew and grew and grew, and up until the opening of the club. So I'm just, I think now 60-something years of singing professionally. I've learned a lot in 60 years.
Can you talk a little bit about, you chose Wyndham High as a place to endow with support to help kids locally in our area get a chance to do more than listen to music. And maybe since you've been doing this for a few years now, talk about some of the history a little bit and what's been done so far and what your hopes are for the year ahead to help kids find their way.
Well, yeah, we founded the Kevin Crosby Scholarship Fund in the year 2016. It was the year after he had passed. And I had done one at Wyndham High School first. Mm-hmm. In 2015. I played a show for all the students for free in the afternoon, and it was 700 kids in that nice auditorium over there. And then the parents would come in the evening and pay money, and I paid the band and everything. And anyway, we made a lot of money, and all even the record sales I gave to the music department at Wyndham High, and it just made me feel so good because I went to Wyndham and it was my high school, and it was like, I feel my roots are here because they are. I've been here all my life, except for a few stints, one in Los Angeles and one in New York for recording projects. But
right.
Besides that, I've always been here. I love the community, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else because there's so many nice people here.
I know when I talked to you a while back, you were talking about your incredible experience with Paul Rothschild in L.A. and those incredible studio sessions you had that later were released finally. And I know I played some of those on the radio. Some of that material was awesome. Really good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very unfortunate thing. I think I had, in 1987, I had the Phoenix Horns from Earth, Wind and Fire and Phil Collins. I mean, to have musicians like that and Cal David and Harvey Brooks and Michael Finnegan and John Williams, his son Mark, playing drums, as well as Jackie Scarangelo, who's Buddy Rich's protege. I was so lucky to have that crew that when Paul found out who was in my band, he spec'd me. And then, when we finally got done, he got some interest from Motown, and I said, Paul, don't send a picture. We kept stalling because they kept calling saying, hey, send the bros picture, man. We want to see him. Oh, yeah, we're having him done. Don't worry. They'll be there soon. So we were using Motown as a leverage point with the other acts. And then all of a sudden, Paul calls me and says, I feel terrible. I said, Paul, you're 63. Go to the doctor. We find out, 5 days later, he had 4th-stage pancreatic cancer. A week later, he was dead.
Yeah.
So, and that was the end of my project because the lawyers just took the masters and put them in a safe for 20-something years, 30 years.
Yeah.
It's career over, you know what I mean?
Well, I remember how cathartic it was, but how healing it was to release it, to get it out, so people could hear it because it was beautiful stuff. Yeah, I mean, of course, I was so proud of it, and I was really happy to finally get it out. Don't get me wrong, but sure.
It's just, it was a little late, there's not too many 60-year-olds that break in this day and age, so... at the time I was like, I was way too old. That's all I'm saying to have any record companies be interested in me. But there was a lot of hits on there, and a lot of big people that had heard it said, "Boy, this in 1987 there was hits here, boy." So I knew I had something going. I just ran into a little bad luck,
That's right. But, we all fall down. And
We all fall down.
I love that tune, man. I love that tune.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful tune. I like it too. And
yeah,
the other thing too is it's just, I guess it's why I sing the blues. I mean, if everything was rosy, well, I wouldn't have any blues.
Well, you've got a face for radio and a heart for heaven. What can I say?
Oh, that's so sweet of you, John. You're the best. Man.
Now, in case you've joined us, folks, we're talking with David Foster right now on the radio, and this series is being video recorded. We air these programs on the WILI YouTube channel. These also air on public access TV here in the area on Spectrum, and they also air on WECS at Eastern. So we're trying to have our guests have a chance to get their messages out as many ways as possible. And we have David here because he has an event here, a very special event at Eastern in October. And there's 2 times 3 and 8 p.m. But you have put together quite a double bill. So before we close, I want to make sure that you run down the bill and who's going to be there for a real double shot.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Uptown Horns, the Rolling Stones horn section will be with me. And, Mitch Shakur, my piano player that played with Bonnie Raitt and played with the Giles Band and, just played with Cocker for many, many, many years. And he's been with me for almost 30 years. He'll be playing piano. And Matt Zeiner's son, Ray Zeiner's son, Matt, is going to play the organ, and he's terrific. I mean, he's a fabulous musician and sings beautifully. And then, of course, the rhythm section I've had for years, Cliff Goodwin, from the Cocker Band, and then Marty Richards from the Jay Giles Band on the drums, and Wolf holding down the bass for like 29 years with me. So, I mean, it's a beautiful band, and it's just like, they're so respectful to me, which I love them for. Like, they just go, they'll say, look, if you can't hear David, that means we're playing too loud. So, they go to the old school thing because that's what I prefer, like the way it used to be, where you played naturally. The singer had a microphone. There might have been a one horn mic for the horn section, and maybe something on the bass drum, and that's it. But so I mean that's what I prefer. Especially with the music I sing a lot of ballads too. So
yeah,
it's nice to be able to play at that level. And then, but have it be very comfortable for the audience. And the other thing that's neat, of course, with Arturo is, I mean, God, it's just like, wow, what a hero he's been of mine. But the nice thing, John, is we widened it this year. So we widened it to folks that go to Coventry High, that go to Ram High, that go to E.O. Smith, that go to Wyndham Tech, that go to Parish Hill.
Wow.
All the surrounding high schools. Because I wanted to just, I wanted to be able to help all these families in all our surrounding towns, where if we can help their kid get a scholarship, it just makes the whole area stronger. Knowledge is everything, right?
Yeah, and I've had music educators say all it is the cost of an instrument and some lessons, and then they just use their time and they chop the wood. They go to the woodshed. They get it together.
Yeah. That's what it really is. It's no different than being an electrician for 50 years or a carpenter. I mean, they're all genius, all those people. I see a plumber, an electrician, and I'm just amazed. And how do you know how to do that? And so everybody has their genius.
So what's the best way for people to get their tickets for the gig? And maybe share the date again so they know how to connect to you and get involved. Do they go to the Eastern website? What's the best way?
Yeah, they go to the Eastern website, or the Eventbrite is the ticket company. And
okay.
It's like Eastern Connecticut and the Foster Foundation fostering, music for education for children, that kind of thing. That's the label it's under, and they can buy their tickets there. There's 2 shows, so there's 800 seats to sell over the 2 shows, and tickets are going well already. But what we want to do is make sure that the house is full.
Absolutely. What's the date again? October 17th?
Saturday, October 15th.
15th.
2 weeks from Saturday. Yeah.
Okay. And so for folks locally, the Eastern website is also an easy link. It's easternct.edu, and then you can go there and find that information about the show. Well, David,
Exactly.
thanks for being here. It's really great to share the airways with you, and I look forward to our next chat, and I look forward to seeing you at the gig, and I wish you a very healthy year ahead, Dave.
Well, right back at you, John. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Okay, take care now. Be well.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay, you're tuned to on the Homefront here on WILI. This is the first week, actually the second week of a new format. We have a longer show, which is now almost an hour. So we have 4 segments that get kind of tight right now. But we have Ruthie with us. I've had this woman on the radio and TV for many years, and having her here today is very special because now she's launched her own thing here, keeping ravings and cravings as delicious as ever, I must say.
Yeah, second helpings for everyone, huh?
Hold on. Well, that was a little loud there. I'll have to...
It was?
That's okay. No, that's okay. I think the rabbit's got the Red Bull, and the volume just went a little too high there, a little bit too high. But Ruthie is here with a new show, very recent, on Mondays, 5:05, just like we're Wednesdays. So welcome to the airwaves with your own show.
Thank you.
So for folks that are still learning about the Monday show, they've read your columns, your incredible stories of the journals around the eateries here, and it's a very nice series you had for the Chronicle
Thank you.
for quite a while with Michael Schroeder.
Thank you.
So for folks that are still learning, talk about the unique way you do your show. Sometimes you're here, sometimes you're not. And what your hopes are coming into the next season of fall and winter.
Great. So how many hours do I have to talk, John?
You got about 20 seconds remaining. No, it's okay.
So currently the way that things are going is it's very simple. The first show was live. I was actually in the studio. I actually talked for 15 minutes or so, and that was awesome. And then Matt fixed what needed to be fixed because he's the technical guru here.
He does the voodoo.
He does. He just waves his arms and things happen.
Right.
So the first installment, which was, I believe it was September 12th, it ran live. I was here in the studio. After that, I did the interviews either on site at the different places that I did the interviews, or my dining room table has become a place where people have gathered and we have coffee and maybe we'll eat. Like just this past week, I hosted the Willimantic Food Co-op, and Avery and Sage were at my table and they
Lovely.
talked about the co-op. So those were all like they're all recorded. But I like live radio, John. I do.
I know. And there's people that like to eat.
I wonder who that would be.
And the different cultural connections, people make some basic ingredients, using ghee and not butter. All these things that people in certain cultures, it's just a normal way to do it. All of a sudden, it's a revelation.
Yeah.
New combinations. Now, with the technology we have, since you first did the shows, try to paint a picture for people about where you could go and do things. And when they go to see the show, like right now we're on the radio live, but the thing's video recorded thanks to Matt. So we're on YouTube and we're on channel 192. How will you be traveling around? What kind of video experience will you be doing?
So it's very simple at this point. I use my phone for the technology, so I'm recording from my phone. I'll do any visual from my phone, but at this point I don't really need the visual. But I could see this turning into something where I use charter services and this becomes something where there are visuals going along with it. Thanks to WILI, they also submit the programming to the charter cable public access, so people can listen to the audio from that.
Right. Yeah, we had Michael Sweet there from Spectrum talking about their channel. So what's it been like now? You've had a few years to do this. You've had a real deep understanding. What's your sense of the business model trying to offer healthier food, which is sometimes more expensive? Will the community support it when it could be expensive versus learning how to do more at home with what you have? How do you do it? Because that's a whole 3-hour show right there.
Well, I'm at this point, I'm not doing much at this point as far as like cooking or baking advice or anything like that.
Right.
So at this point, I'll just tell you, like, my first show was talking to the owner at Liberia Tropical and talking about her Puerto Rican style beverages and menu. And then the second show, which was just this past week, was with the owners of the Maine Moose and about what they're doing for this fall and how they're going to have events and they're going to elongate their season that they're open, so that people are very happy about that. The next show is going to be spoiler alert, all things bake shop. And so she's a cottage industry and she does baking for the public. And then the next show will be whatever. But I will say that one of the shows coming up, and that is another spoiler alert, is just the wind. I thought it would be very interesting to provide the public with, like, I really like information and I like accurate information.
Of course.
So having the lunch lady over at the new Wyndham Senior Center talk about how I can get a hot lunch there and how well do I have to be and are you open to the public and what do you serve and, you know, the space that's there. So that is something that, and actually we're smiling and getting a picture right. Okay. So that was something that I thought was important, is for the public to know that this resource is here. So
that's right.
I think I like to brag about the fact that I live in Willimantic and we have a lot of resources here for the public to take advantage of. And one of them is food.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you told any stories about Click? Because that's a business incubator for people trying their hand, because Click offers them a professional kitchen that's legal, that they can never afford at home.
Yep.
And they start up. Have you had any experiences with people there that are trying new things?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So actually thank you for reminding, one of the shows that I already have recorded was with Katie Kropp. And that was on site at Click. And I have the list from Lee Duffy as far as all of the people who provide and who've made product there for the public. So I tell you, John, I mean, I could be doing this until the day I die because there's so much content out there.
Yeah. And you know, it's looking for a home because a lot of the usual channels are changing, they're going away, whatever. And there's new ways like you're doing of producing things with technology that's still fairly recent. And you can do things on your own more. Yeah.
Yes, very much so. I mean, I am looking at upgrading my phone because the sound on it is poor, and recording from that is not ideal because if I have a call come through or something like that. So
wicked, yeah.
So we're working on that technology I'm working on that with Colin at this point. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like this show is you work on the show with what you have, you build it, and you keep working on your content and your technology, and it grows with you, and the audience is there because that's why it's local, and that's why it's about our life here in the area.
Well, you know, it is kind of like cooking. You know, you eat what you have. It's what you have on hand, and you can either be really boring about it, or you can be creative.
Or you bring a bag of stones.
Actually, there's a proverb that says that Armenians know how to make soup with stones, so we can do something with nothing.
There you go. Salt-free, too. Salt-free.
Yes, definitely.
I know, those bad jokes are horrific, aren't they? I know. But it's really nice to have you in the house. This is Mondays at 5:05. What's the best way, either through the web or email, if people want to connect to you to stay in touch? How can they do that?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. So I will offer my phone number. It's 860-208-8783. I also have a very active Facebook page.
There you go.
Which is Ravings and Cravings. Same name as what the paper was when I was writing for the paper. I also have an Instagram account, and it's crave_eat_love. Crave Eat Love, that's me. And I also post content there too.
Wonderful. Well, folks, that's Ruth Hartunian, Ellenba. Welcome to the radio.
Hey, thank you. Thanks very much.
I look forward to seeing you around the studios.
I will,
awesome.
too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to that on Mondays. Now, we'll take a short break, and then we'll come back and talk about the Willimantic Food Co-op and their Downtown Country Fair. So stay with us. Here's a classic tune from Mose Allison. Check out the words.
Right in my face, you coming on exactly like you own the place. You know if silence was golden, you couldn't raise a dime, because your mind's on vacation and your mouth is working overtime. You quoting figures and dropping names, you telling stories and playing games. You over laughing when things ain't funny. You trying to sound like you don't need money. If talk was criminal, you'd legalize with crime. Because your mind's on vacation and your mouth is working overtime. Short, talk is cheap. Don't be making promises that you can't keep. You don't like this little song I'm singing, just grin and bear. All I can say is if the shoe fits wet, and if you must keep talking, please try to make it right. Because your mind is on vacation and your mouth is working overtime. Your mind's on vacation and your mouth is working overtime.
Alrighty, we're back for the second half of the program today for On the Homefront. This is our second week of our new format. We have almost an hour with 4 segments every week. We had David Foster before, and then we had Ruthie here about her show, Ravings and Cravings. For the second half of the show, in a few minutes, we'll talk about the Kerry Court Gallery. They have an opening this Friday. I'm going to have Chris McNaboe here in the house in a few minutes. But right now we're going to focus on 2 things: the Willimantic Downtown Country Fair and a book fair that's all being coordinated and supported by these 2 good folks next to me. On my far right, I'm happy to have back in the studio again Sydney Clements. She's with the Wyndham Community Food Network, but she's also here today really working with the co-op in their campaign. It's nice to have you back in the room.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
It is. And also today for her first visit for me, we have Frances McGrath. She's the children's librarian at the Willimantic Public Library. Things are very active over there this time of the year, and we'll be talking about the book fair that coincides. So maybe, Sydney, you could lead off. It would make sense. The fair's been here forever, but talk about what the plans are, and it's from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., right?
Yes.
This Saturday.
Yes, this Saturday, October 1st.
Right.
I believe this is the 23rd Downtown Country Fair.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, we had expanded, and we've moved over to Gilson. We outgrew the co-op parking lot.
Sure.
And we're growing again this year and joining up with the Willimantic Public Library and also hosting the Children's Book Fair.
So this is all going to be at Gilson. Can you run down kind of the program for the day or the kind of things that will be happening? And then we'll include the fair. But in terms of what kind of vendors you have this year, what's the response been so far? Do you find people are very eager to get there and get their stuff out?
Yeah, so we have a ton of vendors coming, a lot of artisans, jewelry, homemade crafts, woodwork. We'll have a bunch of food vendors. Pleasant Pizza will be there, Hosmer Mountain with soda, Indian food, Middle Eastern food. We're actually really trying to promote sustainability this year with the fair as well, so there will be a composting tent, and we've encouraged vendors to get compostable products. And keeping with the sustainability, the Food Network and WAME are actually going to be hosting a clothing swap. So you can bring your old clothes in good condition down to us and
gently used.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Something you'd bring to like Plato's Closet or something like that, and swap it out for a new item that's new to you, or you can purchase it for $2, and the funds go back to the Food Network and WAME, and the clothes at the end of the day will also go back to WAME.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kind of makes a nice circuit all of its own.
Yeah.
And how is your volunteer staffing? Do you have the usual great team? How has it been compared to the past? Because there's a lot of people involved to make this look easy.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
We have the most amazing planning committee. Sarah Kelleher from the co-op.
Hello, Sarah.
Yeah, hello, Sarah.
Yeah.
She kind of keeps us all organized and is wonderful. And then Eastern actually provides a lot of students with day of support to help
Is that
us.
the rugby club again?
No, I think
No?
they have a lot of other commitments
they're
already
all
in
over
town.
there.
Yeah.
Those rugby people are out of control.
We work for with the Center for Community Engagement, and they will send us a bunch of people down. Yeah.
CCE, yeah.
Yeah.
And I forgot to ask about the music situation. Do you have any staging? Do you have some announcers this year? What's happening?
Yeah, we have MCs and we have a bunch of different music acts. Some of them are Bentutu, which is a 12-piece band, Nzinga's Daughters, which is from New Britain. We have Chris Freeman of Parsonsfield debuting his new act Freeman, and the Claudia Schmidt Funtet will also be there.
Wow, you've got
So
some real
jazz,
regional
salsa,
talent.
we got it all. Yeah.
All day. Bring an appetite and hang around for the day.
Yeah.
I think the weather looks pretty decent from what I've heard. You
Yeah.
know, it's certainly better than Tampa, Florida right now. No doubt about that. Now, tell us about the book fair and the kind of work you do with kids all year.
So the book fair, we are kind of trying to do our own thing in conjunction with the one that used to be at UConn. So this is our second children's book fair that we're doing. We did for our first one last year, Memorial Park. And then we are joining together this year with the Downtown Country Fair to kind of bring more people into town. And my goal is always getting books into hands of kids. And so what we're really kind of driving with this year is free books. And so there's a lot. You can come get free books from the library, from the Friends of the Library. We've got some retired teachers who want to offload their classroom library, so they're going to come. And then Riverbend Book Truck's going to come, and you can, the bookstore in Glastonbury is going to have their book truck, and you can buy books, which is cool. And then we'll also have 5 local authors, and their books will be available for sale and some for giveaway, and they'll be signing and reading and things like that. So there'll be a ton of just activities, literacy, all sorts of stuff just happening, and then you can go out and get food, come back and listen to more authors, go listen to some tunes, get some more books, and I think it'll be a really fun day.
It sounds great. And while I have you, I need to ask you about kids, because I've had other guests on the show over the years, and some people are still learning that parents have such an incredible effect on their kids before they get to school. Kids get to hear words, they get used to being read to. Can you talk a little bit about how parents can make such a difference in their kids' success if they start them with these books younger and get them used to going to the library? And what can happen that could change a child's life?
It's so interesting to think about child psychology and developmental psychology, like just talking around your kids. If your kids hear words, it makes an amazing difference. Talking to your kid, when even if your kid can't talk back, grows that child's brain and gets that child ready to read and learn words. And like we do story times, and you know, kids will come when they're really young and they're running around and they're not doing what they're supposed to do, but it doesn't matter because they're still hearing the stories and they're still enjoying the library, and they're getting used to these things, and they're hearing new words, and they're just learning to love books already. And it's really great, and it's really important. And I think there's so much more than just like reading to your kid every night before bed. There's just like talking to your kid and having books in the house and reading in front of your child, showing your child that reading is important.
I read too.
Exactly. I read too. And I think it's important too, so much so that I do it myself. And so that's why I'm always like, come to the library, but come and get stuff to take home. Because someone was telling me the other day, like the difference between having books in the house, it's like if you have more than 20 books in the house, then your success rate is different. Or I forget
I've
the
seen
stat,
some
but
numbers,
something like that. Like
it shows the impact.
Yeah, and I think it's just showing the importance of reading to you and to your kid and talking to your kid, all that stuff. I think is just so important.
And without dating myself to being an old fart, the question is paper versus the screen. Holding a book in your hands, turning the page, feeling the paper, and not just scrolling a screen. Can you talk about how kids have to get away from the screens? It's so natural for them now. It's everywhere. It's so easy for a parent to give them a screen.
Yep.
Parents have to do work. They have things to do. So I understand the pressure. It's a great babysitter, but there's damage.
I think it's a really complicated question. I think I 100% agree with you, the importance of books, but I think back to having books in the house and showing that you're reading your own book, that you're off your phone too. I think that you're important and your child's important, and screen time is less important than your child. But I also heard this really great I went to this reading recently, and these really interesting authors were talking about how we also have to change the way we think about storytelling, and that, you know, I forget what he said, but it was something like, you know, I've seen a well-crafted TikTok that's better than, you know, some essays. And I think that's a really interesting point, that if we can show that there's importance and relevancy to stories in media, I'm not saying that TikTok is the answer to everything. I don't even know how to use TikTok, but I think we have to be willing to show that stories matter and be willing to look at stories in different ways.
It's a tool.
It's a tool, but I
And-
think showing, if you're not reading a book in front of your kids, and you're scrolling, then your kid's not gonna pick up a book either.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you while I have you before we close, if people want to get more information about the library and the events and what's happening all coming into fall and winter, could you just mention the website so they can follow up on, of course, the book fair is happening Saturday, but the library is there all the time, fortunately. So how can they follow up with you on these good things?
Well, Willimanticlibrary.org is the website. Our calendar's pretty up to date. Our Instagram and our Facebook are also really great. We do a lot of work with making flyers and publicizing events on those social media platforms. So that's a great way. If you follow us on Instagram, we post a lot of different things about when we're having events and things like that.
Right.
So that's what I would say.
So, Sydney, to wrap it up again, we're talking about this Saturday from 11 to 4 at Jolson. Can you preview any other thoughts after the exhaustion of the weekend and the fair, and people are looking to the rest of the season? Because you're kind of talking co-op and you're talking the Food Network. What are people thinking about for the rest of the year? What kind of things are they working on?
So after we catch our breath
Sure.
from the Downtown Country Fair, I guess we start thinking about Know Your Farmer Fair. I mean, there's like a couple weeks there at the end of the growing season where we kind of, but even after the Downtown Country Fair, we still have the Farmers Market that goes until the last weekend in October, which
Right.
is on Bridge Street. So it's actually would be a great day to go out this Saturday from 8 to 12 to the Farmers Market and then come to the fair afterwards and get some books and more food and but after that, we take a breath for the winter and then start planning all of our more events as the growing season begins.
Well, it's great to have you folks here in the house. I wish you great weather on Saturday, and we'll have you back maybe later when we get into the other events before the season winds down.
Awesome.
And then later in the winter, as we get into the school programs, think about things for the library, how we could connect to parents or kids, or else programs for adults as well, and try to get the library more in people's awareness.
Yeah, always. Yep.
Thank you both for being here today. Wish you
Thanks
great
for having us.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Alrighty. So we're taking one more short musical break from Mose Allison, another very relevant lyric, Everybody is Crying Mercy, and then we'll have Chris McNival back in the house to wrap up the show. Don't go away.
I can't believe the things I'm seeing. I wonder about some things I've heard. Everybody crying mercy when they don't know the meaning of the word. A bad enough situation is sure enough getting worse. Everybody crying justice, just as long as there's business first. Toe to toe, touch and go, give a cheer, get your souvenir. People running round in circles, don't know what they're headed for. Everybody crying peace on earth, just as soon as we win this war. Straight ahead, knock 'em dead. kid, choose your hypocrite. You don't have to go to Off-Broadway to see something plain absurd. Everybody crying mercy when they don't know the meaning of the word. Nobody knows the meaning of the word.
About the Carey Gallery right here on Main Street, Willimantic. I'm happy to have Chris McNaboe back in the house. She works with Horizons, but today she's here to focus on the gallery. They have a gallery reception from 5 to 7 on this Friday on the 30th. So maybe that's a good launching pad, Chris, is after saying welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, John.
Let's talk about Friday and your hopes for the day from 5 to 7.
Sure. Well, the show is called Recent Works, and it is just that, the recent artwork that Carey's been doing in 2022. Carey will be there herself, and sometimes people are always asking me, is Carey here? So this is a chance to come down and meet the fabulous Carey Quirk, the artist with a remarkable gift for color. And we're also featuring some of her color pencil drawings, which we don't often feature in shows, but we're finding there's more and more interest for that. So we're selecting some of her best color pencil drawings, and of course her paintings, her acrylics. We have all different sizes, and the cards that we've made from some of her originals will be there as well, and some other items that we have created using her designs will also be featured. So we're really excited. There's been a lot of interest in the show. We've already sold 7 paintings, and the show's only been open. The show's been open already for 2 weeks, but we're excited that there's so much interest, and we hope that people will come for the first time. Maybe if you've never been to the gallery, we really want to make it a welcoming space. So we want people to come in and see what her work is all about. You know, I think we talked about this last time. Carey was recently featured on the Connecticut Public Television, Where Art Thou?, with Ray Hardman, and from that, people have come in to see what's going on in there. So that was a really nice launch pad for her to get some new interest, and her work is now presently in a show, or just closed actually the other day, in Provincetown, Massachusetts, and she was in the members show there and sold a painting there.
Great.
So it's going well for Carey.
P-Town is a great community up there.
It is,
really
and
sweet.
Very, very eclectic art community up there, which is really, that's her niche, eclectic.
Yeah, I've been there many times. It's a great town.
Yeah.
Now, Carey's been doing art forever, but how many years formally has the gallery been down there on Main Street?
This is our 12th year on Main Street.
12 years.
She's been doing art for 34 years.
Right.
And she started in Mansfield in a small studio in Mansfield, and then actually had another studio that she worked in on Main Street, but no gallery. So when she was there, it is when our board member, Dee Dee Delaney, said, you know, we've got to get her out where the people can see her. And Dee Dee was a big influence in getting us a gallery space on Main Street and helping to promote her so that it would be much easier for people to access what she's doing. And then we started to snowball things and invite other artists to come to the gallery so we could make it a variety of artwork that people could come and see.
Right. If you want to find out more about Carey's story, it's Carey Quirk, Q-U-I-R-K. If you just do a Google, you'll find an interesting story about what she's doing. Now, at the end of the year, there are so many celebrations of family and tradition that people will think about gifting and you know, observances. And they have a pop-up set up from November 16th through December as a way to support local art, keep our money local. So what are your hopes for this year in 2022?
Well, the Gifted Pop-Up 22 is a smaller version of what we've done for the last 10 years at the gallery, where we've really transformed the entire gallery into a pop-up shop. This is a smaller version of that. But as you said, we want to feature some local folks and also an eclectic group of things that are artful that you might want to give as gifts. And we have a firm belief that we've said many times that artwork doesn't necessarily have to hang on the wall. It can be things that you wear, things that you enjoy in lots of different ways. So we have a number of things that we've put together so that you can do your entire holiday shopping on Main Street. That's the goal too. We want to keep people shopping on Main Street, and I believe that you can do that. You don't have to go to a big box store. You don't even have to go online. You can just shop on Main Street, and we are hoping that Gifted and the Kerry Gallery is a big part of that shopping. So to that end, we have curated some folks that we've had in the past and some new artful things that will be at the gallery. We've got some things from Little Man Originals, and Christine is wonderful. She hand makes these items using various textiles, and they're wonderful high quality things. We've got sleep masks coming, and eyeglass cases and wallets and all kinds of fun things. We have some handmade notebooks with recycled paper, and these are coming to us from a vendor in France who used to live in the United States, who used to actually be a more local person in Rhode Island. We've got some hand-blown glassware that will be really special. We haven't had this vendor before, and some really fun earrings and jewelry that we have not had before. And the other exciting thing is we have we've taken 5 of Carrie's most recent paintings and put them on some cloth bags. We have done cloth bags before, and they sold out, so they were very popular. But we took 5 new designs, and these are made in England with a company that has made some very high level materials before for high vendors like Anthropology and others.
Right.
So these will all be limited edition tote bags. We've got some other kinds of bags that are just more practical, sling bags. We've got really fun Turkish beach towels that were coming. We have socks with a message, so you can get your message out in lots of different ways these years. And we have over 30 designs that'll be on these socks. And you'll see the familiar kettle corn people that are at Third Thursday.
Oh my goodness, yes,
yeah,
indeed.
they're giving us some of their gourmet popcorn to sell, which will always be a hit. We have beeswax candles coming from Heimel's Hens.
Wow.
Jeff Palmer's woodcuts will be back again, and original artwork from Sarah. And I think Ronnie's going to bring her tie-dye flannel shirts, which were a big success when we had them once before, and lots more.
Yeah, this is your one-stop, folks. The one-stop. You got it.
Something for everyone.
Now, this is serious, though. The money is all for a good cause. Remember, and you're keeping money local. I'm telling you, all the guests, whenever you have any chance to spend money, keep it here, keep it in the state. You know why. Speaking of art in the streets, Willimantic Public Art. I've had Chris on before. It's a great organization, willimanticpublicart.org. It's a website. Jot that down. You could print out a map and walk around Willie and see how people are turning turning spaces all around town that are neglected or underutilized into beautiful artworks.
Right. So
you have some news about that.
I do.
Please.
And I'm showing the map here, which you can get at a lot of different places in town if you'd like to get the map.
Yep.
If you just stop to the gallery, I have a little container right outside the door of the gallery that you can just, any time of the day or night, you can take one of those maps. And we have many of the places that are filled with artful things on the walls in town. Just on the map, and some of the more recent things that are on the map are 2 works that were done this summer. One on the outside of Angie's Yono yoga studio,
sure.
And another one outside the building that's adjacent to the library, the credit union there. That has another really big mural on it. We're really excited about that. We've also got some other smaller things that are happening, which is great. Eminence Inc. artists are in full swing doing some more traffic boxes, and we have some other folks that have decided to do some traffic boxes. Tom did one right at the corner of Pleasant Street and the Frog Bridge. And
I love the one by the stage, the Shabu stage.
Yeah, that's
so
really
cool.
fun. Because David's image is right on there.
Yeah.
His face is right on that one.
That's right.
He's iconic. And
He is.
the big news is that in October we will be featuring the Art Walk on Riverside Drive. And that's going to be 20 different artists featuring their work, and we'll install that, and we'll tell you a lot more about that as soon as we get a date. And we're having a little bit of an opening and want to bring you down to Riverside Drive to see what that's going to look like. It'll really transform the area.
That's great. So again, the website to stay in touch is willimanticpublicart.org. So Chris, it's always great to have you here. There's always good news to share. We'll try to get you back later towards the holidays. Stay in touch with the gallery. There are also great programs at Horizons.
Thank you.
Before we go, I just want to mention too, Walktober. This is coming up real soon. If this is from the Last Green Valley, if you go to the website, thelastgreenvalley.org, this is a calendar they have. It's a beautiful map. I know it's hard to see on the camera, but all around the region, it's a way to find places to go. There are maps to help you find them, and it's all about enjoying the environment, enjoying the changing of the seasons, and all the things that we have here in the Quiet Corner. It's a beautiful organization. This is every year, and it's happening very soon, Walktober 2022. So it's called thelastgreenvalley.org. Well, look, our time is flying by. I just want to make sure if you want to join us for a future show, just use email. We can have you right here in the house to share your story anytime, every Wednesday at 5:05. Just use email john@humanartsmedia.com. So thanks for sharing your time, and we'll see you next week. Take care.